Right, beginning tomorrow, New Yorkers can begin to cast their votes for mayor and other city races as early voting begins.
And as a result, the mayoral candidates did not hold back their punches last night in the Democratic debate, the last one before early voting begins tomorrow. Joining us this morning, one of the top-tier contenders, Scott Stringer. Nice to have you back on Good Day New York.
It's great to be back. Good morning.
All right, so during the debate last night, they kind of asked you several times about your memory during the 90s. You know, there have been accusations of inappropriate touching with several women. And I'm just wondering, you've said that your memory is foggy. So is it foggy because you're getting older? Is it foggy because you were drinking a lot more then or doing something else? What's the story?
Look, the allegation was in 1992, and I think I've answered these questions time and time again. I have a 30-year record of fighting for the city, as you well know, as an assembly member, as a borough president, as controller. I said if I did anything back then or made anyone uncomfortable, I said I'm sorry. But look, this race is 10 days ago, and these allegations are coming up right before, you know, a mayor's race, and there have been serious inconsistencies. But I really just want to end the campaign talking about what New Yorkers are asking me about on the streets. They're asking me about affordable housing and how we're going to open the schools and how we're going to make sure that everybody has a safe city. These are the issues that we have to focus on right now, and that's what I'm committed to. I'm running for mayor because I'm the most experienced, the best qualified, and I'm ready on day one to meet the challenges of the city. I have every intention of doing that. Look, I want very much to have a city for my children and the children of the parents who are listening this morning, and I'm going to do that.
So why are these accusations coming up now? And do you think there will be any accusations of during your marriage, there will be women who might come out and say there were inappropriate?
Let me, you know, my wife is with me right now, and let me be clear. We have an amazing marriage. She has stood by my side. I've stood by her side. And this is where it gets crazy and ridiculous. We are very much life partners, raising two little kids. And I just hope that if we're going to smear me, let's leave my wife out of it, because she's a very special person in this city.
You lost a slew of endorsements after these accusations. There are still many New Yorkers who are undecided in this race. How are you going to appeal to voters, particularly female voters, who still haven't decided who they're going to vote for?
Well, we were out yesterday with hundreds of female voters who know my record fighting for women's rights, a lifetime of work. You know, I think there's a disconnect between the political class and what's happening out in the streets when I go out campaigning. Women I talk to want to know about my education plan. They want to know about how we're going to help children. You know, women who are the best voters in the city from all different backgrounds are looking at me and saying, you can run this city. But look, this is a mayoral campaign. Everyone knows you got to answer all the questions, especially questions from Good Day New York. I'm not shying away from answering the tough questions, but let's be real. The race is a week away or 10 days away. Early voting starts. Somebody's going to want to know about my housing plan. Somebody's going to want to know about the kind of mayor I'm going to be, and then compare and contrast me with the other candidates. And while we're at it, why don't we ask some other candidates where they were 30 years ago on a slew of issues? And I don't mean personal. I mean just about the kind of career, the kind of government service you had. I don't want to besmirch anyone's reputation. Mine has gone through the ringer, but I do think it's fair game to say, what would you actually do if you were mayor, and are you qualified? I think that's fair.
Well, let's talk about the other candidates, because we are going to be talking to Eric Adams and Andrew Yang coming up. Last night at the debate, you really went after Andrew Yang on his experience, or what you call lack of experience. Why is Andrew Yang not the right person for this job?
Because he's not qualified. He voted. He's never voted in a mayoral election. This is going to be his first vote. That's not public service. That's you know, an empty ego trip. His ideas for the city are borderline not possible or not relevant, and everybody knows it. His answer last night about how we would deal with Albany was just very troubling. So I don't think he's qualified. I don't think he's going to win the election. But again, I respect him as a human person.
Let's talk a little bit about crime, because obviously that is on the mind of everybody. And, you know, you have very progressive ideas about policing in New York City. Has anything changed for you with the crime surge in New York City on how you would handle that?
Look, I grew up as you know, back in the day, in the 1970s, 80s, when there were 2,000 murders a year, the 8 train that I used to take from Washington Heights was a rolling crime scene. I'm not going to put my kids or anyone's children back to those days. And so we need a mayor who's going to focus the police on rooting out violent crime, upping the conveyance rates. You know, we don't solve crimes anymore, especially the violent crimes. So I want to redirect resources from the bureaucracy at One Police Plaza, get those resources into the precincts, redraw precinct lines, because some precincts serve 200,000 people, other precincts serve 100,000 people. That makes no sense. And we need a mayor who's going to be laser focused on this. But as I've said time and time again, we also have to make sure we keep kids away from the criminal justice system. We need to provide them with education opportunities and jobs. We need to invest in violence interrupters so that we give every kid a fighting chance. That's exactly what the next mayor has to do. And while crime is definitely on the rise, we need a mayor who's experienced governmentally to make these changes. This is not a game. This is not something for a mayor on training wheels. We need someone with real experience, and that's what I offer the city.
All right, so before you go, we're going to ask all our candidates today, if you could ask Andrew Yang and Eric Adams a question, what would your question be? And it could be different for each one of them.
Oh, you want me to ask each of them a question?
Yes, please.
Well, what I would ask Andrew Yang is, why would you propose a $5 a day plan to help New Yorkers, which is a false universal basic income plan, when there's so much other things he could have talked about to make his candidacy more legitimized?
Gotcha.
And for Eric Adams, I would simply say to him, we need to have a bigger discussion, not just on crime related to a badge and a gun, but how we are going to help the kids in communities, especially kids who are struggling. There has to be a two-prong approach. That's what I would say to both of them.
All right. Thank you so much, New York City Controller and mayoral wannabe, Scott Stringer. Scott Stringer, nice to have you on Good Day New York. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.